Good God. All right.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You know what? That's a new intro, brother. I think you probably put that in there when a month ago or so.
Yeah, it was a few episodes ago. It's a lot shorter,
Yeah,
more to the point, and it's got that great graphic of you, man. That picture of you.
that and
That's
and I'm
fire.
I'm glad you brought it up because that's why I restarted it because I said, wait a minute, the recording hadn't started yet, and it was skip and it skipped the picture of me, and I said, whoa. Let me let me redo the intro to make sure everybody can see that. So whoever I know you've been working with your team in the last for a while now anyways, but definitely gotten we spoke about going pro last week. You've definitely been going pro in regards to everything you've been doing. I've seen some sponsored ads by you on Instagram. So you've been going pro, you've been putting together some awesome things, and past all that, you've always been doing these things. And now it's awesome to see also the marketing and advertising side and that piece come together. Because what I know about you, there you go. Listen, the brother learns so rapidly and fast, and he's open to these things, and that's why he is and will always be successful. So I definitely wanted to bring some attention to that. I saw that thing and I was like, wait a minute, this intro used to be a minute and 33 seconds. Now it's 29 seconds, but it's jam packed and it gets to the point and it resonate. I think it resonates with myself, and I'm sure it'll resonate with people who get a chance to check it out. Guys, I'm Mike Seville. I just get to blabbling off sometimes when I'm passionate and I'm excited and I'm in the presence of greatness. And so, I'm always in the presence of greatness because I'm always around. So if you see me,
Ah, I like
so
that. I like that. I like
but
that.
but
There it
now it's
is.
but now it's times two with the brother on the other side of the screen. Of course, he is grabbing something on North Lake, which is probably one of my favorite streets in all of Palm Beach County. I'm a frequenter of North Lake. I can tell you everything that's going on up and down these streets. I think I've ran North Lake at least one time, from Pratt and Whitney all the way to A1A. I've walked it slash ran it, but my brother from another mother, the Joel Simmons, the incomparable Joel Simmons of the Tenacity Foundation. We give him a huge round of applause as he's preparing to eat some lunch and at the same time have a conversation with myself and you all as well. So appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you too. Appreciate you too, man. This is the real estate king, the business mogul, the handsome son that you saw at the beginning of this video. That is Michael Seville, my boy, giving it up. Here's a little clap for my man too. Absolutely. In the middle of the restaurant while everybody's looking at me. It's all good. Let's
Hey,
go.
I'm sure they feel it as well, guys. It's Friday. It's Community Beacon. We definitely appreciate you for checking in. And like last week, which I thought we had an awesome conversation. We're coming back again this week to have another awesome conversation. Um, Man, I don't even know where we start. First off, I'm hoping everyone is having a blessed Good Friday. Um, I guess for me, I've come to the realization that I don't really, I can't say I don't celebrate it because I feel almost as if every day at this point for me is like a good day. So it's like I'm celebrating it every time, but I do appreciate seeing it in the consciousness. I appreciate everyone who reaches out to me on these days. So I think it's interesting that I'm a reminder to people because there's people I haven't heard from in months and days for whatever reason. We're all busy, or rather, we're all productive. We're moving around, and we have a lot of different things on my mind. But for me to be a priority on any day, whatever the occasion, I definitely appreciate it. Reaching out and we can all celebrate just it being a good day. How about you, brother? What's going on in your world?
Yeah, man. Good Friday is something else. Yeah, so just with the whole Good Friday piece, for me it was something else. I was speaking with, you know, um, thank you very much, buddy. I was speaking with my assistant, and while I was speaking with her, she was telling me about Holy Week for her. For those of y'all who don't know what Good Friday is, that's considered to be the day that, or represents the day that Jesus went through the kangaroo court, and at some point in time, he ended up becoming crucified. And so that day was a horrible day. A man should die. Ended up being the beginning of something really great for those of us who didn't have that same salvation. So she was just talking to me about it and about how where she is, they shut everything down. Like it's not like it is here in America where you almost lose the feeling for the holiday presence, the holy day presence, because nothing shuts down. Like I'm able to purchase some food. Nothing shuts down. Things are still going. Banks are still open. The economy is still flowing. And then they take whatever that day is, and many times they'll take it into the media and they'll find a way to capitalize on it, find a way for you to buy something. I didn't even recognize it, brother. I mean, I was like, throughout the week, I started to see bunny rabbits and eggs. And I'm like, I'm so involved in my Holy Week and so involved in my work that I just happen to go to gas stations because I'm traveling a lot. I mean, I'm putting 300, 200, 200, 300 miles every day right now on the car, at least 200 every day
Wow.
on the car. And so I'm just like, gas stations and me are becoming very well acquainted. And it's all the Easter bunnies. I'm like, why are there so many Easter bunnies around here? Why are the bunnies out? And it didn't dawn on me. That stands for Easter. I mean, I just said it like that
Yeah.
because that's what it was, but it didn't dawn on me that they were Easter bunnies. It's just like, why? I didn't put the two and two together. Not like I would have previously for whatever reason. I don't know why. I'm just seeing it. It's like, I'm just making money off of bunnies. And for me, it ain't got anything to do with with what's going on. I guess maybe that's the reason why it didn't make sense to me. Because when I see a bunny, it has nothing to do with the resurrection of Jesus. To me, I see a bunny, it ain't got nothing to do with it. And I got some other stuff that I can say about that, but that's where I am.
Say it. Say it, brother. Say it. Tell the truth. Speak
I,
on it.
yeah. I mean,
I'm
I guess.
curious.
Well, I don't. You know how I am, man. I don't like to run long in the conversation. I want to hear what you got to say, but it's like, okay, so the bunny represents reproduction, right? Reproduction. That's what the bunny represents, reproduction. And there was a false god by the name of Diana, long, long, long time ago. The, she was the Easter goddess, the goddess of reproduction, and something that was utilized to give way to her was the bunny. So what ended up happening was because when you look at the time, when you look at the time frame, um, it doesn't necessarily line up for the death and
Right.
resurrection of Jesus.
Right.
It would. It's really going to be more in like a wintry time,
Okay.
not a springtime. So what happened is that with many of our holidays that we have now, is that the early Catholics, they were unable to control the Gentile nation. So remember, the Catholics were born out of out of the Jews. Jesus was a Jewish man. Sometimes people they try to leave that out. They just say he must have just been Christian. No, Jesus was Jewish. That's who he was. His genealogy is there. 42 generations. Check it out. It's in the book of Luke. 42 generations. Jesus was Jewish, right? So when he came and he opened up that door, he didn't open it up for many people. There was only a few that were blessed. But after he died, which is the whole importance of this holiday that we're
Mhm.
celebrating, after he died, he came back, walked for 40 days, and he left this word with them: go into all the world, go into all nations, preach this word. So he opened the door for all people to come in. And he solidified that in the book of Acts. You'll find it over there in the book of Acts. He told Peter to rise and to go with the man and to not doubt anything. And the man that came to his house was sent by Cornelius, who was a Gentile man who gave alms to the God of the Jews. And Peter came, spoke with him, and the Holy Ghost fell on the company of all the people that were in the building. And then he recognized that the gospel was not just for Jewish people, but it was for them too, because nobody could deny now what they had seen and felt, because it was the same thing that happened to them on the day of Pentecost. So now they're like, okay, I guess everybody gets this great gospel. Later, Paul is brought into the fold, and Paul brings it to more Gentiles, and that's when we hear that people were first called Christians in the place called Antioch. That's where the word Christian was born. Christ followers, Christian. To bring it back to this present day now, during that time of the Peter, James, John, not so much Paul, but those men, what ended up being developed is the Catholic Society. That's where the roots draw back from.
Okay.
That's where first your first popes come from. Your first papals come from. And remember, papal means papa. Sometimes people don't understand that, but whenever you call a papal, you're calling for your papa. Whenever you call for pope, you're calling for your papa. You're calling for your dad. That's what you're saying whenever you mention that word. So when that happened, you had men like Peter and James who ended up becoming the first leaders of the new church, so to speak, or of the church, because before that, there quote unquote was not a church. However, that's not exactly so, also, because the root meaning of church is to assemble or assembling of. And the same word is used in the Old Testament when we start talking about the assembling of the people. So the exact same word as far as definition for church and for the assembling of people in the Old Testament is the exact same thing. There's no change whatsoever. So that's just something, a curious note. People should go back and check that out for themselves, do the research on that for themselves, and you'll find that there's absolutely no change in that. When you take the Greek word versus the Hebrew word and look up the definition, they both mean the same and they both have the same connotation. So during that course, when the Roman Empire came in, post Jesus on the earth, the Catholic society began to amass a lot of power and they lost a lot of power. And there was a tug of war. So many of our holidays were born in those days, and they were positioned next to a pagan holiday. And in most cases, they overlap the pagan holiday so that the Christians had a place and a thing to do instead of celebrating the pagan holidays because they could not control the desire to be a part of the pagan holidays. And this is why we ended up with Christmas being where it is, Easter being where it is, where we celebrate Easter and most people are handing out bunny rabbits. It's only in the last decade that we started to call it Resurrection Day.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a, I'm a digress for a moment.
No. I think this
But
is this because man, this is it. A lot of this stuff lends for deeper thinking. Like and with all thy getting, get understanding. So this brings about understanding, and this brings about clarity. And it's interesting because I what we you tend to see are these certain traditions, and we don't even, this goes back to the story you had last time. Like, why did you cut off the meatloaf, or some people call it a meatloaf, other people tell the story as it being the chicken, like a duck or something. We're cutting off the head and the back of the duck or something, and why do you do that, grandma? And so you get into understanding. So there was parts of that now a lot of it makes more sense to myself. I understood the stories, and I'm like, okay, so, and I was like, well, still, why would they have these pagan holidays associated with Christmas? But it makes sense, a sense of belonging and understanding to kind of overlap these things to kind of appease the people, so to speak. You're appeasing the people and you're putting it in there. So now here's what we got here. I'm going to further go on in regards to these holidays, is that it's specifically in Western culture, we've become a culture of consumers as opposed to anything else. Like, that's what, because it's profit. We're talking about, capitalistic societies. So being a part of the consumers and consumerism of it, this is why you start to go into gas stations and see eggs and more eggs. And actually, these eggs been coming around for about 2 months now. I don't know if you noticed it, but they've been dropping these hints of eggs. And now that the eggs are almost done, you're going to get a 50%, 75% off. And we're going to immediately get into Mother's Day, which is another holiday that we've produced. And then you're going to start seeing things revolving around flowers and roses and diamonds and things that a woman would be gifted. Well, we have been taught to gift to a woman. Um, I want to go back to you, because I noticed it just because I'm in the business of noticing these things, marketing and advertising. I noticed this 2, 3 months ago. You didn't notice it until you started getting to these gas stations, and you didn't put two and two together, which I think is awesome because it speaks to your intentionality about what it is that you have going on. And we can kind of delve into that, because when you are intentional and you seek understanding, a lot of these things or these idols that are put in front of you, you kind of don't pay attention to. And and
that
and
was
and
tough
and,
right
and
there.
the and the
Oh my
meat,
God.
yeah, but it
Mm,
but it, the
that
meat,
was, yeah,
right, right,
I like
right,
that.
but right, like the meaning, it comes out. That's why I appreciate some of these holidays, for a reminder of people to look to certain things or dive deeper into certain things, or specifically anything that allows families to get together and cherish and appreciate one another. I'm all for it. But ultimately, for me and my how I do it is, this is every day. We spoke, and I say this during Christmas, and we've had that conversation. Christmas should be every day, as far as the thought process and the meaning around it. But when you're being intentional, and you have a purpose, and you're gaining understanding and clarity, and this is not it, and I'm saying this not to talk down on anyone. I think everyone is in their own spot and have their own journey, and it's a beautiful thing for you to have that. I'm just speaking to the awareness of being intentional and being and having a certain kind of purpose and getting to these spots and taking in these holidays as just saying, okay, this is just, you can use it almost like, for me, is almost like a recommitment to whatever it is that you're looking at. Um, that's why I wrote down making money off of bunnies, and I definitely appreciate the story of the Christians and it happened at Antioch. But so that's kind of where I'm at with the Good Friday. But you go ahead, brother.
Now finish your thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's it for me. It's Good Friday. I think it's good for the consciousness and for us to be aware of these things as a whole. Um, and at the same time, understand and take this feeling. Same thing that I think people should do during Christmas. When you have that thing, and the same thing that happens during Thanksgiving, the same thing that happens during Valentine's Day, the same thing that happens during Mother's Day, the same thing that happens during Father's Day. Use that as like a benchmark of saying, like, this is what it is to actually appreciate the women in my life for Mother's Day. This is what it is actually to appreciate the fathers in my life for Father's Day. This is what it's like to be during Christmas, to gift and to receive and to have this love. This is what it feels like on Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving, to appreciate and to be thankful for and grateful for what it is that we have. And if you can just take that feeling and you can and build on it, and for some of us it's a reminder, but if we can start to just build on these feelings, and you can just take this year round, because no matter where we go, there we are. If you can just take us year round for you, I think it's adamant, and it adds. I think it personally would add to the.
Are you able to hear me?
I hear you now, brother. Good, you couldn't hear me?
All right. I have to try to get my audio
Okay.
back. Give me one moment.
Yeah, no worries. Um, it adds to the gratefulness of your life, and I think this is, and this is how I'm approaching life at this point in time. It's like, how do I take these feelings and just add on or kind of higher my vibration, like higher your vibration, higher your consciousness, be this and this be the bottom of it. Like, what would it feel like if, whatever, however you feel like on Good Friday, I appreciate the sacrifice that was given for me. If this is what you believe or what people believe, I believe that I appreciate the sacrifice that was given to me. I appreciate what was done for me, the ability to wash away my sin, whatever it is. And you take that appreciation, that gratefulness, that understanding, that faith, that love that one can have for another person, and just use that and say, well, you know what? This is going to be my bottom. Or if I'm in a bad mood, I can always revert back to that bottom. I think personally, like, you'll go far with it. Yeah, so that's my thought process on using or being intentional in regards to holidays. But for the most part, I'm like you, brother. If someone didn't bring it up and I wasn't in the business of it, I probably would skate past it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. I just didn't even notice, man. What ended up happening is just exactly what you said, intentionality. I'm going in there to get fuel, to get something for myself, to drink and or eat, and to get fuel for my vehicle, and I
Right.
gotta go. That's it. That's it. I don't have any time to be sidetracked.
It's a beautiful thing. I think that's a beautiful thing, because with all of the confusion and chaos and distractions out here in this world, I mean, and I see it now. Like, I can't even say I love it, but TikTok is a huge thing. But I mean, it surprised me the people that were my age that kind of get lost into it. And I'm not saying this to be a hypocrite, because I think there was a point in time when I used to get lost in the internet. And one thing changed for me was I put and I'm not hating on the internet, guys, but I put this tracker on my phone and computer to show exactly how much time I was spending on whatever sites it was. We now you got it in your iPhone now. Screen time. It tells you exactly how much time you spend on these things, but you can actually put a number on it to lock it for those of you who don't know. But this is years ago. I think I was working at the city at the time. And when I realized how much time I was spending doing, going through the internet, and it wasn't even as advanced as it was now. Like before, it was like certain websites that you would go to, et cetera, et cetera. And I found, I'm like, wait a minute, 4 hours surfing the net? No. And I could be doing things that are so much more productive. And you could take this into anything. Like, imagine the amount of people that spend the time on putting together some type of Easter. Oh God, them brothers gonna hate me.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Just keep going.
Putting together certain things when that should not be. It is not anywhere near a top priority in your life, in your community, or anything to that nature. And okay, let's say you do put together this amount of time for these things. Then that means that you have the time to put together things for other things that would be a priority. So I'm all about taking rest or having fun. So for some people, having escapism, etc. Like, go ahead and do that if this brings joy to your life, or it allows you to kind of recalibrate, so to speak. There's an 8 hour. We talk about the 24 hour the gauge, and you got 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for work, 8 hours for play. I agree. Things should have a healthy balance to them, whatever that healthy balance might mean to you. At the same time, that means that as intentional as you were to plan out your vacation, as intentional as you were to plan out this event that has to do with fun or status or lifestyle, as intentional as you are about that, be intentional about your purpose. So take your time and spend the time to be as intentional about your purpose, being intentional about your life, as intentional as you are about this itinerary for this road trip. And it's interesting for me that a person would allow, and I've done it, allow other people to be intentional for you. So that's kind of like my thought process on it, is that as if you're being intentional about your purpose, if you're as you are about this vacation and or this event or this thing, in order to whatever it is, if you're intentional with that same amount of, as far as your purpose is concerned, or intentional about where it is that your focus is on those things, then imagine how much further that you would be. And by you being further, because I love to put this people on our own onus, by you being intentional, everything around it affects everything around you. There's no reason to go out there and save the world when you still need to be dealing with what it is that you have to do with as yourself. So so anyway, I'll go into a tangent on that too.
No reason to save the world when you need to be saved yourself.
You it's hard for people to give, not hard. People can't give you what they don't have. So what happens is if they don't have it, ask me how I know. If you don't have it, you tend to be overzealous in what it is that you are giving. And sometimes and not sometimes, all the time, when you are overzealous at whatever it is, you end up you end up being a detriment to the cause. Like, being overzealous is just as bad as not doing anything at all. But when you have what it is and you can pour into cups because you have this thing, you have the love, you have the understanding, you have the trust, you have the faith. If you have those things, it's easier for you to direct someone without it being codependent. At this point in time, it's more so being interdependent, because you're also allowing other people to have their journey. When you become overzealous at things, what happens is that you become controlling. It becomes it's either this way or it doesn't work. And that in
Mm.
itself as well causes issues. Brother, you don't have any video. I'm not sure if you knew. No audio either. I think your audio went out. Hold on. All right, yeah, brother, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Hey, apologies to everybody. Um, I'm on my phone and the calls are coming through, so my apologies. Listen, I think that was this last thing that you were just saying, and I'm trying to make sure I don't lose that thought process. Um, I know that we were going down the route of intentionality, and that we were also talking about. I think I might have just lost it, tell you the truth, brother.
Oh man.
Just for all of that little bit that just happened. You had mentioned something, and I was like, that's it. Gosh. Mm, 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 mm.
I kind of was speaking towards the overzealousness, overzealous versus not doing anything. So I'm not sure if that jogs your memory on it at all.
Yeah, ah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
No
Yeah.
worries, brother. No worries, brother.
I, I guess
Listen, go ahead.
I just say this, you know, when it comes down to these holidays and whatnot, I think that we all just need to be grounded.
Absolutely.
Like, know what it is that you're celebrating, why you're celebrating it, before you just celebrate it. Like, there's no need to just jump in everybody's celebration. I remember I was
Absolutely.
watching a TV show, Seinfeld, and Kramer. Kramer was like anti every religious holiday, you know. I mean, and I think it was anti a whole lot more outside of in real life. It was,
Uh,
you know. But anyway, in this episode, he created a holiday, and they made this entire skit. Like that's how Jerry would do that. Jerry Seinfeld would make these skits, and the premises of that show is a show about nothing, talking about nothing that people would enjoy. And so you gotta be mindful because you were just talking about people getting into TikTok and getting lost into that whole world. And when you did the tracking, you found how much you had seen it. And like I did the same thing. I did my own tracking and I found what my time was going to and what I was focusing in on. But Kramer made this, and this is the old TikTok. TV shows or the old sitcoms are the old TikTok. Watch every last one of them, just keep watching them to find something funny, so to speak. And Kramer says, the Jews have this. The
oh man. You,
the Christians have this, you know, the blacks got this, everybody's got whatever it is, Kwanzaa, whatever. He said, and what about the rest of us? And that's when
okay, the brother the brother's going in and out. He's talking about Festivus. That was George, wasn't it, George? Uh-oh, the brother's getting a lot of phone calls. I remember the episode. The episode was it Kramer who said Festivus for the rest of us? Maybe I'm gonna have to go back and watch. I'm
are
gonna
you
watch the
there?
episode. Yeah, yeah, I hear you, brother.
Are you there?
You're touching. You're
Okay,
touching.
so he
You're
said
touching
there's a
on some. You're touching on some things that they don't want you to get out. I'm just telling you right now that you're about to be canceled. But go, go ahead.
so he said there's a Festivus for the
For the
rest of
rest of
us.
us, yeah.
And what it was is we're just going to celebrate nothing about nothing.
Yeah, the brother. I'm telling you, it's a reason why we tend to get a lot of these technological. I don't know if it's by happenstance, but
But I mean
I
that's
remember
it.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember I remember the episode Festivus for the rest of us. Within those shows and comedy in general, I think comedians tend to be some of the biggest philosophers because they're given not carte blanche, but they're given room to speak on certain subjects that most people can't speak on, especially in this day and age, or else you'll be canceled. And they've even started to cancel some of the comedians. But you're right, brother. I remember the episode about Festivus for the Rest of Us on Seinfeld, and a lot of these holidays have become that. And once again, I think it's hand in hand with not understanding,
Yeah.
not seeking understanding, and then you
Yeah.
combine that with consumerism, and
Yeah.
we're at the point where it's hyper consumerism.
Yeah.
It's where you're not identified as a person or a citizen in Western culture. You are a consumer. This is a capitalistic society, and there's almost no corporate or no. There can be oftentimes no responsibility, or the responsibility is kind of misdirected. And by the time you go to make the adjustment, because we got to understand that a lot of when you're into business, there's a lot of testing. You're always testing. Now, what happens is that in this culture, America is an I always say it's like America is it's a it's an experiment. It's an experiment. And by the time it's an experiment, and by the time we understand that this experiment has gone, it's not good, we've gone a long way. And this has been going on for a long time. It's a social experiment. Democracy is a social experiment because we're always attempting to figure out, well, what's the best way. And what we start to see with the hyper consumerism, and people play to this for a profit, is convenience and feel good. And feel good is really, if you get scientific, is really about dopamine. So how much can I give these people these dopamine outputs? How can I just tap into this dopamine? And it's gotten to the point of now it's just left, right. How many times have you scrolled past a decent, whatever it is on social media? You scroll past it, and you you don't even, and it's a friend of yours, and you don't even like the picture, and all it takes is two taps on your finger, and you don't and you just scroll past it because it doesn't hit, it doesn't affect it doesn't give you that dopamine hit. But these things that give you the dopamine hits, these things that trigger you, and once again you get into this irresponsibility of it. And tell you what, it's not there because their first and I don't want to use they. Most companies' first thing is to make profit. It's not to do good or to figure. It's like, how do we make profit? How do we do something? So that's really what. And how do I keep my job? Especially once you get to a certain level. Like, I'm a CEO. How do I keep my job? I need to make the stockholders happy. How do I make the stockholders happy? I make them money. How do I make them money? I figure out these little intricate things that allow people that want to buy my product, service, etc. So it's now our responsibility as the person, the family person, the consumer, the husband, the wife, the father, the mother, the brother, whatever it is to go a little bit deeper and saying, well, what is this doing for me personally? How is this furthering this? Because you have to be responsible for yourself, because as a consumer, the corporations or the people who are attempting to sell to you, they're not going to do it for you. They're going to say, well, these are knowledgeable human beings. They have understanding. They should at least have. They should be able to think. And if it's harming them, they won't do it. What you'll find is that we're more nature than we are thinking. At least that's how it is, especially when it comes to impulses. We're more emotional than we are logic. We'll make a decision emotionally, and they know that, and then we'll rationalize it logically. We have to go even deeper onto that logical side to say, okay, well, how is this affecting before it gets out of hand? And for a while now, it has really, really gotten out of hand. I also believe that the internet is the equalizer, because at one point in time, a lot of these things were just being pushed out at you. A lot of these different narratives, a lot of these different things, and there was nowhere to go find this information unless you went somewhere. Now the internet is allowing the truth to be said. There's a lot of misinformation as well. So it's up to you now to critically think, and it's up to you to discern how you want to take it. So this was I know we were talking about Good Friday, but we got here. You're
I love what you just said right there too, because what you just said is there's a lot of good information, truth. You can find it on the internet, but now you have to discern. And here's the issue: all of these things that have been going on have caused a lack of belief, a lack of research and belief, a lack of a lack. Before when I was coming up, you know, and granted,
there go the old man
maybe
story.
your maybe 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 your belief was right or wasn't right. I don't know. But it was like, Ma, why is the sky blue? Ma, why are the clouds like Ma, you know, and it was always she would tell me this, tell me that, there's somebody greater. My belief in God started at home. Now people's belief in God starts in the schoolroom.
Wow.
Because and it's not that you should believe in him, but sometimes you should check to see which God best fits you, or if no God fits you. Like the truth of the matter is that we as parents, I'm not even going to include myself in it because I teach my children my belief system. When they get older, if they decide to have a different one, then that's on them. But that's not what I teach them, and I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to stand on my belief. I'm not afraid to say I believe in God, not the universe. Why would I believe in the universe when my God created the universe? No, the universe don't make things happen because my God made the universe. Therefore, it is God. It's the creator, not the created, that makes things. So this is like my belief system. But now when we start looking at all of these different holidays and this wave of information and this wave of misinformation and this new founded belief system that's on shaky ground, it's like I can believe in whatever I want to. You know what? I believe that this chair right here can start speaking to me.
Nah, you
And that
believe that
being taught.
you are the chair.
Or now I believe I am the chair. I identify as a chair. And it's like, what? No, no, no. And then we wonder why we have difficult, or our children or the children of this age have difficulty uh, speaking with one another. We wonder why children have difficulty in their belief system, in their moral capacity, their value structure system. We wonder why, because we've given them this loose definition of what values mean, loose definition of what morals mean. We've taken a dog and a cat and we rose them up above a human being, and uh, we said the animals are endangered. We've been doing this for years. Animals are endangered, but there's a race of people that you can do whatever you want to. Ah,
Tough, tough dealing. That's tough.
what? What? So that when they go out there, man was telling me a story about when he went out to go to Africa, and when he went out to go to Africa, he was there in Africa, and he was getting out. He went out there to go hunt an elephant, and he said, see that man over there, the guy on the actual truck. See that man over there? He told the guy who was telling me the story. See that man over there? He was like, yeah, 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 yeah. He said, shoot him. So what? Kill this guy? He said he's a poacher. He right there is going to stop your ability to come out here and hunt. You're doing it legally. You paid the price. You're doing it legally.
Wow.
He's stealing. Not only that, but he's going to take the tusk and he's going to leave the carcass. Because in Africa, when the animal dies, they take every part of it and feed a whole village. And then when the man wouldn't, he took the gun from him, pow, shot the man dead, left him there and kept driving.
So let me get an understanding of it. Clarification. The guy is going to go shoot elephants. He's there to Was he there to shoot elephants, or was he there to look at elephants?
He's got a permit. He's got a permit,
So
and he's
you
on a
can
tour guide. He's
so you can pay. This is going back to consumerism, if I'm understanding right. As long as you can pay, your life is worth something because now you have the ability to shoot this animal. Correct? I can pay to shoot the animal. If I don't pay and I'm out there shooting the animal, then my life is in danger.
that guy's life was in danger.
Oh, and then apparently he was
He paid for. He
yeah,
paid the
paid for it.
price
Yeah,
of poaching,
yeah.
and so and the reason behind it, whether it's a good reason or not, was simply because he's going to take that elephant and feed the village
Who was the
versus
one,
shoot the elephant.
the licensed guy or the poaching guy?
The li- the licensed guy.
Okay, it's gonna take
So the tour guide that's taking him to go shoot animals because this is what they do in this area. They take that animal and they feed the village. Like it doesn't go to waste.
Okay, understood.
So now it's hunting. They're out there hunting. And so instead of just hunting, taking the tusk off of them and leaving the dead carcass, like you get the tusk because that's all you want, Mr. American.
Right. It's expensive, right?
We keep the elephant and we feed our families.
Okay.
So now, and he said, that guy over there, he's killing them all off. You won't be able to come out and shoot. We won't be able to eat. This is how the economy works right here.
Okay.
So he's doing something illegal, shoot him, kill him. But the reason wasn't to get into that, but it was just that the belief system and the moral value system is so skewed. Like I can identify as a dog and you have to call me a dog. No, I don't. I'll see you later. No.
I think the issue lies in your belief being not accepted, because if I and someone else's belief being forced onto me. I've always said there's three things that most people definitely shouldn't argue about. Don't argue to me about what you do in the bedroom. Don't argue with me about who it is, or I'm not gonna have an argument about what you got going on in the bedroom. I'm not gonna argue with you about your political affiliation. I'm not gonna argue with you about your religious affiliation. I think those three things should be left up to the people because ultimately they don't necessarily affect me to that point. Like I'm not gonna argue a point. I don't really argue anyways. But those are three. I came up with that belief system, that understanding a lot earlier. So whatever it is that you decide, I need to respect that. Like you want to be Republican or you want to be Democrat, I respect that. And I respect you for your beliefs. You want to be Muslim, you want to be Christian, you want to be, or you're Jewish, you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're Hindu. That's your beliefs, and I respect that. If you want to, a man wants to sleep with a man, a woman wants, like whatever it is, that's what you all have going on, and I respect you as a person at that point. However, for you to believe what you want to believe and then tell me the opposite, where, oh no, this is you have to do this. I don't have to do that. I don't have to do anything. Or you have to believe this, or you have to do that. I think that therein lies the issue. Because and I understand, because some people feel as if they've been persecuted. And really, I don't think most people have been persecuted, but they're associating into what they've seen happen. And so if they have those beliefs, they're going to associate into what is going on outside of them. Because to be honest with you, a lot of people don't have the experiences that they really get triggered about. You know, a lot of a lot of people are just associating themselves into what they should be triggered about. Because if you were to ask a lot of people about some of the, something that they have such vitriol about, or something, I'm like, well, when did this happen to you? A lot of them can't tell you. They'll tell you about a friend or a cousin or somebody else who it may have happened, or they heard that it may have happened, which is, it goes back again to really understanding like what it is that you have going on, and not to be able to project that onto other people. And if you do, and if you have had these issues, understanding how to process these different things in a healthy manner. So, so a lot of these things come with not processing these things in a healthy manner, et cetera, et cetera. And once again, I'm not here to tell anybody what and what not to believe. At the end of the day, I think it's your choice. However, don't project onto me what it is. And before we got on this conversation, we said something, and I said something, and you kind of you spoke on it. I was talking about convincing versus compelling. And whenever we're having a conversation with someone, you really need to take the time out to figure out what it is that is going on in that conversation. Am I attempting to compel this person, which means that they're open and they're willing to take on this information, or am I attempting to convince somebody? And that's one of the hardest things for a person to do, is to convince someone something beyond their relief. Yeah, I got it, brother. So, guys, happy at the same token,
Happy Good Friday.
happy Good Friday. And I want to end it like that, because what you're going to get from definitely myself and definitely this brother is, regardless of what it is going to be some type of empathy and compassion and a seeking to understand from it. Like, this is not coming from a place of anger or hate. The brother mentioned something otherwise, and I think we all need to take the time out, is to be grounded. What does grounded mean to you, Michael? I'm glad you asked. Be focused, be intentional, and be calm. If you can allow those resources to be upon you, I'm telling you, and come from a grounded place and just say, okay, and get curious and say, okay, so that's how you think. God, may God be pleased. And we just go on from it. I don't hate you. There's no part of my body that's hatred. Maybe before I used to get angry, but that, that was an immature reflex. Now it's more so, okay, all right, that's what he said. And
That's what he said.
that's what he said. And maybe we separate. Maybe we don't need to be around each other, because we don't have the same, to your point, brother, the same values. Because I'm super clear about my values. I start and I draw distinctions about these different values and understanding. And I'm like, okay, more power to you. No hate, no nothing. That's that. So that's that's what I got to say, and I'm sticking to it, brother. Any last words?
No, man, that's it, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate this time.
Yeah,
This was a fiery one, so I like it.
yeah, it was,
But there's
wasn't it?
still a lot more to talk about with this, 'cause these are some conversations that deserve a much larger platform
Yeah,
than what we
yeah,
just
yeah,
gave it. But granted, send us some messages. I don't care what you send. Put it in the message, whatever it is, whatever you disagree, whatever you agree, put it in the message. Stand up, speak up.
yeah,
I like what Flo is saying. Instead of there's no need to argue about it, but I sure will. He sure will. We'll talk about it. That's why we created the platform, so that we can speak. And at some point in time, we'll probably change the name from Community Beacon to Communication Beacon,
yeah,
because that's what it's all about. So wherever you are, you know, I almost said the same thing I say on my other show. As much as it starts with you, it starts with me. Like, this thing does start with us. The conversation starts at home.
yeah.
If you're not having it, then it will not happen. You'll have nothing but blank arguments with no grounds
Yes.
for an argument. So either shut up or learn up and then speak up.
There you go. Love it. Love it. All right, guys. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week.